That was so wrong. Wow. I don't think so, buddy. Why did I think? Might reload that one for 2025. The maybe. I said myself. I said maybe. I said maybe. That means that I'm not wrong or right. Taking a look back at younger Josh as he tries to make the predictions for how 2024 is going to go. Now, I'll make another video where I do a victory lap on how right I was on how many things and the great plays we took. You know, I'll run my victory lap. But I imagine this is going to be more of like an example of how hard it is to make yearly predictions, even though this ended up being one of my best years ever. I think I remember some of the things I said, but I'm sure there's some stuff I forgot. So let's dive right on in and see if young Josh had his act together.
I was down, but now I'm up. Yeah, this all God, this ain't no lie. Yeah.
2024 is going to be an absolutely insane year.
Oh, the new intro is so much better, isn't it? Oh,
I don't think anyone really understands. And this weekly report will also be our yearly predictions. So before we get all that, let me indulge myself for a minute. I've been redoing The Office, having a blast, kind of. I bought a bunch of stuff and then realized that I didn't like it and ended up having to return some of it and not liking a few renditions, which is why everything behind me is completely empty. But I think I do know.
I had no clue what to put behind me. I don't even know if I like what's behind me now. I actually do not like my office. I don't like the green wall, but I don't want to repaint it. I actually way back rented this room out to two models who did photo shoots in here and use this as a photo shoot room, which is why this room already has like studio lights. And then my office was actually a different room. And then I moved my office into this room because of the studio lights that I wanted to do the YouTube videos. And I thought, and this is actually one of the smaller rooms in the house. So I thought, you know, I'll throw my office in here. I don't need a lot of space. So that's why, like, that's what's behind me. It's supposed to be a closet. It's supposed to be a bedroom. I let them rent it out from me because they paid me in Ethereum actually. And then they like did the stuff on the walls and stuff. And I just kind of made it work because I didn't want to do the work of rechanging the room. Funny story. Nothing you probably don't care, but funny story.
Know what I want. And in preparation for doing more videos than ever in 2024 and more live streaming, I've updated the camera, added a second camera.
I never did use the second camera. I was supposed to use it for streaming, and I just didn't. It was too much of a pain. Most of the time I live stream, I don't even have my camera on because I brush my teeth in the morning, but that's it. I look like a wild man.
And I'm far from done. Yeah, this is gonna be awesome. But enough horsing around. Let's get to the serious stuff. This year is going to be absolutely crazy. Making predictions for 2024 is going to be nearly impossible. If any of
Well, at least he's humble.
these are actually right, I likely just got lucky. Remember, what we do is not reliant on getting predictions correct or even necessarily being right. It's all about reacting to what does occur, okay? That is 80% of trading. Just even think about the backdrop of this year.
Hey, I'm glad I said that. You know, that's what we ended up doing. That's how it goes, man. All right.
It's an election year. Election years are typically very strong years. Even if you average it out with some pretty outlier years like 08, you get about an average of 7% returns for the S&P 500. But I think it would be...
Look how lazy I've gotten with the editing, by the way. I probably should fix that. I should be watching a video a year ago and be like, this is a lot more well put together than what I've been doing lately.
Prudent to be a little worried about this election year. 1/3 of Americans still believe the 2020 election was fake, and that was without rampant deep AI fake videos and overall conspiracies and mistrust. I mean, it's a bit of a mess. And on top of that, we're kicking the year off with almost an all-time high on the S&P 500. And the NASDAQ has literally had its best year since 1999. And what happened after 1999?
It's described as nothing short of breathtaking, a points drop never before seen on the US markets. This closing bell might as well have been an alarm. So savage was the selling. Traders and investors shell-shocked.
NASDAQ. Another one, yeah. Too many in a row.
And no one wants to be that guy. Trading and investing is a lot like chess. Before you worry about making grandmaster level moves, you have to first not make bad moves, aka not lose money, and then let the profits roll in. And we're looking at the market right now. Yes, it looks very bullish, but it's not confirming an actual broad bull market. And if you've been watching the weekly report, we've been talking about this a lot.
And that ended up being something that we had pretty much consistently throughout the entire year, which is insane. I remember I was actually like super bearish coming into the next year. Because I actually had a short position, I think, coming on in January. If we look at this right here, what would that been? Coming into January, this move right here, I was looking to short this like chop like coming into the year. So I caught like this move to the downside and then caught this one as well, just because I was still short. And then by the time like February, I think it was after this dip, I saw that get bought up. That's when I started coming to the realization that like, oh, this is going to be an insane year. And that's when I started readjusting our targets.
We see big moves out of the big companies, and then the little guys are continuing to lag. Yes, it did do some broadening out throughout December, but it still is not a confirmation of a broad rally, which means despite the incredible price action we've seen, this still doesn't look like a very healthy rally. And it wouldn't be shocking to see this turn into one of these secular bear markets where you do get these monstrous rallies.
Wow, I was actually so bearish. Wow.
That may even create new tops, but then roll over. And my first prediction for this year is that rollover. I think we're going to see deep retracement of the S&P 500 to kick the year off. And then I think the bulls actually have their day in the sun. I expect a full Fed pivot, rate cuts, maybe 3 to 5 rate cuts this year, causing the market to rally and potentially even finishing at all-time new highs. And
yeah, well, I mean, that retracement I was painting out did not play out at all, but I was correct about a pivot and then all-time new highs. And then I think we got 4 rate cuts.
For the first time ever, not since making videos, but since being a trader and investor and bullish on China. The sentiment here is so deeply buried in the dumpster that even a trash panda couldn't find it. And that has made me finally bullish. Now, don't misinterpret what I'm saying here. I would never be an investor in China. Anything 5-10 year time horizon. Communism doesn't work, dummies. It never has. And the likelihood that China descends into chaos as it historically has after Mao leaves the presidency is exceptionally high. And we talked about this in the last few weekly reports. I've kind of gone back and forth about.
Yeah, I was right about China. It was a great trade. We made a lot of money off China in Baba, and it ended up being a horrible investment because pretty much every rally got sold.
Bitcoin, because this has been some interesting price action we've seen recently, but it looks like we've got the nail in the coffin. I think a gut punch is headed for Bitcoin. It's going to head down to 3,700 or 3,200 before it wildly outperforms the S&P 500 into the end of the year, well above 50,000.
It definitely outperformed, right? Oh, yeah. I don't even need to look it up, but yeah. I don't think we ever got that retracement, though. Because where was it at? Whoops. Is that 42? No, it pretty much just trucked its way up the whole entire year from 42. Yeah, we got like 1. Oh! Yeah, we got 1 retracement down. Just to 38, though. Oh, not half bad.
That's my prediction. Coinbase, on the other hand, is going to be even worse off than Bitcoin. I think this stock could lose about 50% of its value over the course of the year as more Bitcoin affiliated products enter the market and cause funds to diversify. And now
that was so wrong. Wow. Could not have been more wrong. Pretty much every Bitcoin product actually ended up not being interested. The market ended up not being interested in it, and all the money poured into basically MicroStrategy and Coinbase. So, missed the mark on that one. Pretty bad. And actually, that ended up being consistently bad because there was at one point where I still had that bias, and I was fighting it. I was like arguing with myself in my head of whether I should put Coinbase in the long term. And I mean, we had our best year. Yeah, it's hard to have too many regrets, but Coinbase would have been really solid in the long term this year.
Now let's talk about Uber. And I could be early to this prediction, but I think Uber is completely... I think they lose about 50% of their market cap pretty much overnight on the release of self-driving, which I think could come out in 2024. Now, this might be
probably a year early. How did Uber do? It's not really a name I track. They're at 61. What in the heck did I click? And they're at 60. They didn't get cut in half, but they didn't do anything. So it's not great, but it's not terrible.
Completely off base, but I think it's going to be a lot like AI, where there was nothing and then boom, it was everywhere. I also think that'll be paired with a lot of different legal battles about self-driving. Who's at fault? The car crashes. Is the driver still at fault, or is...
There's still a lot of legal battles, but there's not those kind of legal battles. I still say wrong.
Now the company at fault. What does that mean for insurance? Are people going to be okay with a robot crashing a car rather than a person crashing a car, even if the robots have less accidents overall? Will there now be mandates that only robots can drive because people are so bad at driving? I don't know. It's going to be a complete mess. And that's not just for self-driving. I expect lots of legal battles over AI as well. And I think Apple may actually surge.
There was lots of legal battles over AI throughout the year.
ahead and be one of the leaders of AI starting in 2024. And if not, I think Apple might be in some trouble
Who
when
is
it
that?
comes to producing more.
Was that
I expect
Apple?
lots of legal battles over AI as well. And I think Apple may actually surge ahead and be one of the leaders of AI.
Oh, yikes. That was not right. Missed the mark on that one. I don't think so, buddy. Why did I think Apple is kind of... Because Apple does have this tendency to be late but be the best. And they ended up just not even participating in AI. And then they hired like OpenAI to pretty much do it for them. Very sad to see for Apple investors, by the way. Very sad to see. Performance of the stock has been good, but it could have been repriced as a growth company if they had participated in the AI hype.
Starting in 2024. And if not, I think Apple might be in some trouble when it comes to producing more and more growth. Now, this is still a blue chip stock. They even own a large portion of their own stocks. I wouldn't expect any big crashes here, any systemic risk within the indexes because of Apple. But I do think that this company could be hitting a turnover period if they can't capture a leading position in AI. And now
let's see if that one plays out. Might reload that one for 2025. We'll let that one cook a little bit.
about TLT are long-term treasury bonds. I was super long on these at the bottom when everyone was saying that bonds would be bearish for the next 20 years. I'm now expecting a big pullback now. I've closed all my bullish calls. I'm still a shareholder on this, and I'm expecting this to hit new highs by the end of the year. But I do think that we're going to have some fears about inflation coming back, and that will cause the Fed to kind of go back and forth on what their standing is for the market. Probably a lot of conflicting ideas within the Fed officials. And my last final prediction
that ended
is
up
that
being
this will be
that definitely ended up being the case for literally like half the year, and TLT had pretty much miserable performance. And I think, well, that would have been in January when I sold. I wasn't. Yeah, it literally just cooked up just a little bit more, and then rolled right over. Pretty much all the way down to 86. Then I remember we actually did get long, and then, I mean, we're finishing the year much lower now. Bonds are awful. Not half bad.
Of robotics. I think this will be the next big hype train that everyone will pile into. I think Tesla.
At least it's not a guy in a suit, right? It's not a guy controlling a robot. Still no autonomy. Technically closer. I'm too optimistic sometimes, man.
Tesla will be the
It's funny to say on a video where I was so bearish for the year, half bearish for the year.
leader, and it will be crazy. Maybe. So overall,
The maybe. I saved myself. I said maybe. That means that I'm not wrong or right. I'm kidding. I was wrong on that one. I think we'll reload that though. I think we reload that one for sure. We reload that one in 2025. Doesn't happen in 2025. I think that's another one you stick in the chamber and you load it up again.
short the S&P 500, go long BABA and IWM. Keep an eye on robotics. I think they'll be big. Biotech as well, by the way. Last year's prediction was that biotech would outperform everything. Then AI took off, completely took over all narratives and became all-encompassing. But we did get a rally out of biotech into the end of the year.
Was biotech right? No, biotech wasn't right because my holdings, they had some minor performance, but I didn't really participate in the weight loss area of it. We made a lot of money off like VTX, but like right now that one's actually burning a hole. It's the worst performer in the. I think it's the only poor performer in the investment portfolio right now is VTX and weight loss. That could turn around and be one of the best performers in 2025. But I think overall, despite there being, you can't even really call them biotech because it's more pharmaceutical, right? I think we just have to call that one an L. It was a bad prediction.
Year, which was nice because my other big prediction last year was that uranium would do exceptionally well, and it did. But I did a lot of selling there, so at the end of the year, I was holding all this biotech. Like, is this going to move or not? It did, which was great. And those rallies were supported by major breakthroughs, which I think could carry over into 2024. So it's probably worth keeping an eye on those as well. I'm going to hold them for the next 10 years, so it's whatever to me. If it happens next year, cool. If it takes another 5, whatever, I'm here for the
Still same mindset.
ride. And I'm sure in 2024 we'll probably get an increase in geopolitical events. This will make cybersecurity also more appealing. I just find it all exceptionally boring. I mean,
And we actually bought back in a lot of those uranium names too and performed really well.
just so crazy boring that it's like hard for me to pay attention because I don't really understand. And I'm like,
Cybersecurity actually wasn't even that big. We got the big like crowd strike. Well, you know what? So we got the big crowd strike event, and then I actually did do some diving into the cybersecurity space. I came to the conclusion that I should run into the fire and CrowdStrike. Bought the dip a little early, got my ass handed to me, bought some more, and then ended up being one of the top 5 plays of the year.
like a lot of these other topics where I do a bunch of research, I just can't bring myself to care all that much. It is what it is, you know. I'll probably fix that. I'll probably do some research live on YouTube for everyone to kind of follow along with, and in
Whoops, I forgot I said that.
cybersecurity sector. Maybe that'll be the plan. I think a lot of people don't know where to start when they do research. You can watch me do it live as well as on live trade. You know, boring days will be research days. On more active days, I'll do live trading. How about that? That sounds like a plan. Make that a New Year's resolution. And that's going to be it for my yearly prediction video. I think we covered it all. Probably not. Probably missed some stuff, but what you got to do? I got to go party. It's New Year's, baby. But make sure you don't get too messed up because we got to get back to work tomorrow.
I actually don't think that actually wasn't that bad. Surprisingly. That was probably like 50-50. Maybe I'm being generous. Maybe like 40-60. Nowhere near as bad as I thought. You did pretty good. You were too bearish. Biotech didn't really play out, but you had the foresight to see that it might take longer than you think. The robotics was a bad idea, but Tesla ended up being the big winner. China did rally to the upside. And going long on IWM, ripped that idea. Did not play out at all. Overall, it's a pretty good yearly prediction video. Make sure you subscribe because I'm going to make a 2025 yearly prediction video. Let's see if this year I could beat last year's. We'll call last year's about a 50%, right? I want to say 50. That's pretty good. Hope you guys enjoyed this content, and I will see you on the next one. Oh, and of course, as always, God bless.